Hi everyone and welcome back. This is Sky coming on to talk to you about the June 2024 Comprehensive Astrology. We have a really groundbreaking and life-changing month of departures in June. I hope that you're all doing well, and I am really excited to bring you some very new and invigorating messages. We have Jupiter having changed signs on May 25th, so we will be having a distinct paradigm shift in June. I'll talk about that in this video with some general insights about the month, as well as put some charts on the screen to talk about the specific transits. If the video resonates, definitely hit the subscribe button below, thumbs up the video, and check out the description box where I offer the link for the Patreon page where you can get premium weekly forecasts and other awesome content. So yes, let's talk about June 2024. Okay, so we can't mull and process so many things in our head anymore in June. There is some type of obvious way that things have to be. There is some kind of simplification at the best level coming in June, and we don't need to overthink it so much. If you're finding yourself moving too much into overthinking or too much into the realm of thought, now is a good time to step into new real-life stories or to actually experience something real embodied and to get out of the thought realm. Now, there are a lot of things coming to a head in the month of June. I was kind of meditating about this month, and I'm thinking, it feels so strained in a way, or it feels so hard to make certain changes. But then, I was looking at the astrology charts, and we've got like a bunch of conjunction transits and a bunch of really, really symbolic, poetic, spiritual, major shifts happening at the level of the collective consciousness. And we'll pull those charts up in a second. But that is kind of the total influence, I feel, of the month of June, is kind of like not expecting that you could be immersed in such a meaningful chapter, but actually this change that you're going through is going to really start a major cycle of healing. So where has your healing journey led you now is a question that I want to really start this monthly theme video around. Where has your healing journey led you now? What have you implemented in your life that contributes to it? What have you implemented in your life that takes away from it? Okay, here is a really powerful month for understanding, okay, I have the right idea, I have some of the right philosophies in place in my life to really step into a much healthier, integrated life, but I have some other philosophies or even jobs or also things winding down, like really, in some cases, nightmarish scenarios beginning to wind down here or working themselves out, but they're not totally over either. So this is a period of time where people are knowing exactly what they want to proceed with in their life, but they still have that paycheck to paycheck job. This is exactly where people have, concluded a certain relationship, but things are still working themselves out. So it's we know in the mind that we want things to be a certain way, but here we are, maybe with a lag effect or some type of delay happening in June, but by July and August, there's going to be a very visceral change. And we're going to have to be confident in a dose of reality. Okay, so there is a reality check also coming for a lot of people in June. We thought that a certain idea that we had would make millions of dollars, and here we are still paycheck to paycheck. We thought that also we had some type of advantage or some type of perk, but in reality, the cost of maintaining it makes it somewhat, of a pipe dream to even have this perk or to even have these perceived advantages. So perceived advantages, perceived disadvantages, we have very, very, very difficult to understand planets transiting in the sign of Pisces, Saturn, Neptune, and the minor asteroid of Nessus. This is giving a very in some cases, romantic and fantastical theme to the story, but in other cases, a very delusional or even, I would say, dark triad, narcissistic kind of nightmarish tone. It depends on how we're channeling that. So it's important in the month of June to make the choice for yourself. Is the way that I'm thinking about this indicative of a healing, light-oriented path, or is this indicative of kind of a, scary or nightmarish or, horror story type of path? Definitely we see certain compulsions come out from people during June. So if you have any type of compulsive or impulsive behavior, that would be important to already have kind of like released. And then also you could be seeing it from other people in your life. So if you have anybody in your life who struggled with like addiction or impulse or compulsion, this would be something that you would want to be prepared to work with and to not be too caught off guard with it. Now, I also feel that there's a very kind of angelic energy of protection and well-being that is also working in people's favor during this time. So it's like you used to have connections to very addictive or compulsive people, but now they just don't really come around anymore. And maybe you feel like more alone, or maybe you feel more disconnected, but also you're not having such turmoil in your life either by having these people around you all the time. There's like a people connotation. So I'm getting the word people, I'm getting the word what I'm seeing is like a visual image of people used to be coming around, people used to be coming in requesting something, but now that's not happening anymore. And for some people, they might feel like disoriented or lonely. However, it's actually a healing process, or it's actually invigorating a greater spiritual journey of growth by actually not being beholden to these people. So there can also be, and I just love to see things like this, people might think that they have some type of control over you, or people might think that they, have some type of upper hand over you, or that through kind of like tricking or fooling you or deceiving you, or just like, wishing negativity on you, that they're going to somehow gain some type of advantage or upper hand, or they're going to somehow exploit the situation, and like that just backfires. Like, it's a really interesting time for certain people to experience a major backfire, or for certain people to experience a certain kind of quantum shift that actually turns the narrative against them, as they've tried to exploit, or they've tried to basically separate certain other people's quantum realities for their own favor. So this is a time where division starts to really have a cost. So people who really like sow dissent or sow division can really have to pay up a huge cost. Like, I'm seeing like major liquidations here. I'm seeing also that, for example, the cost of conflict or the cost of individuation also being extreme with inflation and being extreme with the current levels of global conflict. So it's getting more expensive essentially to wage these kinds of like ideational conflicts, or to also, for example, to cut off certain supply lines, or to also, try to kind of like meddle or manipulate things is going to suddenly become very expensive. And we can see, really for the people who feel that they need to like really interfere or to intervene or to try to, feel emboldened by some type of, legal structures or some kind of like over embellished scheme of self-importance. It really takes a lot now, and it is something that is going to basically kind of like centralize, certain people can do it, certain people can't. There's like just a lot of change happening during this time when it comes to who gets some type of authority, or who gets to basically play into these greater global themes. So a lot of different words coming through, but to simplify this, we have a need to experience connectivity and real humanity, and to step out of some of these like Machiavellian kind of like narcissistic ideas about superiority or about misplaced hierarchy, because in order to hold those energies now, it's going to really take everything. Like, I'm seeing like a Game of Thrones type of mentality, and I'm seeing that also, 99.999% of people who even embark that, it just ends in collateral damage. So we're seeing failures here, we're seeing defeats, we're seeing a lot of like loss coming in, and a very swift replacement. Okay, so Jupiter in Gemini comes in the month of June, and all of a sudden, like, nobody even remembers, nobody even really thinks twice about these people who've put everything on the line, and all of a sudden there's a different, lighter kind of steering that begins to take place here, and it's all kind of forgotten. All of this desperate grasping that a lot of people have done, and then maybe even there is a narrative put onto it, or there's kind of like a okay, so this can happen even at a very personal level. Like, new narratives can start up here, new historical contexts, like the history can change or the narrative can shift, or, you know, you used to have this like status connotation, but now it's kind of displaced by perhaps one's own egotism in the negative. So also very careful during this time. Really do a risk assessment, okay? As it's very easy, and this is a subtle thing until it's not. It's very easy to make some type of grandiose or egotistical or even like dark dryad for some people type of choice. And it seems like it could yield some type of beneficial, favorable result. But in the end, you just walk away with a complete like loss of face and a complete, maybe you even win or maybe you even get something for it, but it's not really relevant or doesn't really matter because all of the legitimacy or reputability or all of the, you know, connecting points disappear as a certain cost to have, you know, this small kind of like victory. So being careful about winning the battle over the war, okay? I'm definitely seeing a lot of people fall to greed here. I'm seeing a lot of people fall to egocentrism and to narcissism because they have associated some type of value construct with the regaining of their identity. So a lot of this can be very heavy to process, but the important thing in June of 2024 is to ensure that you are doing, in some degree, something that connects to your higher purpose and something that is overall, you know, good and well and helpful, and aiming for some type of better level of humanitarianism could be important here. Again, not for personal gain, but for like actually the energy that you contribute to things being something that actually brings in good energy rather than, you know, the opposite way around. So it's like actually a simple time, you all. And I think that we get like really romantic in the head sometimes, and we get really carried away with the mind during a period like this. So the mental health would be something to really look into here. What is and is not a coping mechanism? There's a beautiful orange bird on my balcony outside. Can you hear it? It's beautiful. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I'm just watching. It's flown away now. Okay. So there are these beautiful, like, new, young, small things here. It's not like the grandiose, huge empire. It's not the gigantic connotation. All of that would be kind of more ethereal for most people here, or it would be kind of more happening on a subtle plane. The magic during this time, you know, with Jupiter moving into Gemini, it's, you know, making things smaller, actually. Sometimes people take a pay cut here to have more of their own lives for themselves. Sometimes people say, you know what, I don't even want to go into that battle, even though I could win something, because I actually respect the world, the earth, my life, and, you know, the actual sanctity of my energetic body more than I respect what I could gain from that situation. So, you know, it's kind of like a matter of transcending sometimes the 2 and 3D during a time like this. Otherwise, it's going to be very limited. So it's like, could you imagine that some type of sum of money could, you know, impact whether or not you get to enjoy your life or not? Okay, so that's a very 2D type of thing, like letting things like sums of money or material things like dictate whether or not you get to pursue what's purposeful to you or not. And then also at the same time, so I see people who are forced to be dictated by it. Like, it's like, if I don't pay my rent, I'm going to get evicted. So I have to like make the money to pay my rent. Otherwise, like, I can't pursue it. I'm seeing people like this getting wonderful windfalls, okay, and having like wonderful elevations as well. So it's a very rewarding time for people who have been, you know, done wrong by. It's a very rewarding time. But it comes in an unexpected way that you can't figure for. So it's like you can't use like figuring in the mind or scheming to like bring it about. It has to just kind of be given. But then also for people who are then trying to exploit, because, you know, right, it's exploitation that, you know, down the chain leads to people who can never like escape the rent game, for example, or people who can never, you know, actually pursue purpose. So it's like the energy of like exploitation is something that's really coming up here in June to be kind of like, I feel, adjudicated in both material legalistic ways, but then also spiritual cosmic ways. So this is just also, it's just a very hard time to be in any type of exploitation or to be in any type of, negativity like that and darkness, because it's just going to be very harsh. And like I said, for the vast majority of people in that energy, is just going to result in a very direct form of collateral damage. So it's very important to really purify, cleanse, and clarify also like what your purposes are, and to make sure also that you're not depriving yourself of the angelic nature of the story in front of you. So yes, Gemini season, okay, so the first 3 weeks of June are going to really be dealing with like this sort of like mentality and sort of understanding the details of our own motivations and the motivations of those around us and those that we're connected to, and basically kind of charting a certain path through that respects both ourselves and these other people, and ensures that we are integrating the elements of our choices in ways that are fair and of light. Now, okay, when we get into Cancer season, there's a big change, you all. There's a big change, and things are going to become suddenly very physical and of the body, and things are going to kind of desaturate at the mental level. So the first 3 weeks of June are very mental like this. They're very procedural, they're very structural. There's a lot of transfers happening. There's a lot of moving. There's like, I'm seeing like moving trucks, I'm seeing things moving locations, and I'm seeing, the nuts and bolts of that, right? Like the different transactions and, all the thinking. And then, okay, so everything changes once we hit Cancer season. And so June 21st, 22nd comes in, and all of a sudden we have to be very like, okay with the fact that a healing journey is needed, or we have to be very okay that in some cases some of these previous stories have to be prayed, slept, and sort of purified off. And it's not maybe some type of like direct idea, plan, or force that's going to do it. It's like actually an internal growth process, or actually an internal healing process that is going to change everything. So again, simplifying that, it is gaining back internal energy, reminding yourself of your own internal life force energy that will start to clear up some of these like money wounds or some of these society wounds as we start to remember like our own capacity more. And we maybe stop leaning so much on things like money or things like what could be gained from something or what needs to be spent for something, as I feel that could be a very deep type of coping mechanism that is occupying a lot of the mind for people right now because of a frustration about like where we physically are. And so we need to actually physically put ourselves into a healing place and routine that will regenerate for us, because Cancer is a very regenerative sign. And I just feel that this Cancer season this year is a very important time of regeneration and taking some pressure off of the mind as well. Why are we losing sleep at night? What are we losing sleep over? Are we engaged in too much mental chatter and too much thinking and too much compulsion or impulse narrative? And it could be an interesting time, yes, in all of June, in Gemini and Cancer, to kind of like rewire a little bit, to bring about healthier synapses, to like, one of the best things in my life, for example, is not feeling like I have to lose sleep over things, because I'm not like worried about being in some type of like desperation, and there's just like a simplicity about the experience. Do you guys feel that too? That's a very congratulatory type of thing right here, is not feeling like one has to lose sleep and feeling peace and tranquility about what they know is happening, and also about their own angelic protection, and actually not having any fear and letting other people have it, and letting other people do the scheming and letting other people try. So anyway, that's kind of like the relief point in June, and like really for a very long time coming from now. But yes, without further ado, let's put up some charts onto the screen, and let's talk about some astrology for June 2024. I'm just pulling them up in front of myself. Okay, so the first thing that I wrote down is this exact conjunction of Saturn and the minor asteroid of Nessus. Okay, so it starts by the end of the month. You see we have them at 19 degrees of Pisces, and of course Neptune at the anaretic degree of Pisces. What a fantastical, romantic, just pivotal climactic part of everyone's story, especially if you have placements around these degrees. I mean, you can't make this stuff up for some people, like the things that are happening in their lives. Like there's a symbolism, there's a poetry, there is just a gravity about everything happening. Of course, the minor asteroid of Nessus deals with justice. It deals with making things right. It deals with also sort of like divine, what would I say, divine retribution or divine, I don't want to even use the word retribution. Of course, themes of like revenge, themes of things like that come up with the minor asteroid of Nessus, but I actually feel it more to be about totality and about also what humans themselves can not do at the end of the day, and about what we sometimes rely on the higher power through non-intervention to do. And it's positive, okay? Now, in its negative, it's when humans really try to take, you know, the God complex energy, okay? And that's very visible in people right now who have that. In the negative, it's people trying to take too much power into their own hands and trying to change things too much deliberately without the proper justification. And in the positive, it's about being actually aligned with higher power and being aligned through prayer and spiritual purification and gravity, okay? Actually being in alignment with these forces and not having to do it all yourself. So basically going with the current, not going against it. Now, having that aligned with Saturn says to me that a lot of people are actually getting it, and this would be a very major time of spiritual awakening for people, and also people like taking the load off their own backs, you know what I mean? Like thinking, I have to do everything alone. Like you could realize like actually there's like a higher power, or actually I don't have to do everything myself, and actually like I'm not even scared of, you know, these sort of like intimidating people. They're intimidating, but they're not scary. Okay, that's a very powerful thing for this time. If you have any type, as I'm feeling like spiritual warfare with this, you guys, this is turning into a very clear reading. And spiritual warfare deals a lot with the fear element. It deals with, you know, how can you make someone freak themselves out? How can you, you know, operate through like gestures or symbolism, or, you know, even heavy-handed tactics or something to like really, you know, bring about something that is so great in the mind, or whatever it is, I don't know. But you see, it's just boring at this point in time, and it's something for people to exasperate themselves with after a certain point. And what we actually see is a higher level for people who are willing to just allow their own protection, trust, and faith to carry them through without stepping into dogma. So it's like balanced spirituality, balanced faith, balanced religion as a preeminent kind of, or just imminent type of positive thing. But to be having such a powerful time of balance means that there has to also be a lot of like fanaticism and conflict and deception at the same time. So to alchemize this incredible opportunity with Neptune at the 29th degree of Pisces, the final degree of the zodiac, you all, I have a video about that I'll link below. We have the planet of Neptune, which is about religion, faith, spirituality, art, visions, okay, humanity, the spiritual realms, the different dimensions, in the very final degree of the zodiac. I believe, right, like the 329th, 360th degree of the zodiac. It's a time of totality, and it's a time where we have to be so responsible with the force in our own lives. As you would definitely see some people, for example, who get into power, whether it's like mundial power or earthly power, or whether it is like cosmic or spiritual power, and they just use it all. They spend it all. They come into money, they spend it all because they feel like now's my chance and I'm going to like really show who I am. And this can like totally just defy the purpose of any of it in the first place. And it's also going to be like very obvious. So if you have like people who are in a state of power of some kind or another, are they using it in a responsible state of oversight and position, or are they just like burning through it like some type of infinite resource? The false idea of infinite resources would be something coming up here, and also contrarily, people who really responsibly cultivate and hold their own personal power will really get rewards. So it's an important time of ethics, you all. It's a very important time of ethics, and also a time where things that are unethical will never be forgotten, okay? And we'll never be able to get away from it, okay? And it, you know, and everybody makes mistakes. You know, it's also a time, I feel, just where mistakes are very damning and errors are very damning. Now, I don't mean to inspire a lot of like obsessive compulsive ideas or nitpicking, because that's not what this is. It's like, it would be very clear. It's not really about like messing up the details. It's about the intention. And, everybody makes mistakes. Sometimes everybody has certain, locus of errors. Like, that's the human condition. But I'm talking about real intentional corruption or misuse of energy that is just not something that can be concealed. Also, people who do that, there's like a boldness or there's a want deep inside them, I feel, to be seen. So it's like they want the notoriety of it, or they want to be seen as someone who has like power. So it's like not really hidden anymore either. But what is hidden is like the real actual power, and it's actually silent, isn't it? So all this loud stuff is a quick route to disempowerment. We get into these ideas and conversations about like ego versus real force, and narcissism versus a true human experience, and emptiness versus fulfillment. And it's very easy to see what is what, and it's just very easy also here to see things dressed up like through special effects or makeup or branding or something. And can we see through to the real substantial element? That would be something important during this time too. But that's a very just poetic, very powerful time of storytelling, very powerful time of symbolism and alchemy. But it's very heavy also, I feel, for the human consciousness to process all of that happening in Pisces, that Saturn, Nessus, and Neptune energy. And it's important to give more back to yourself, I feel, rather than trying to push so much outwardly. Okay, also, we start the month with a Mars-Chiron conjunction in Aries too. That's another very symbolic kind of spiritual and esoteric conjunction. This is a very kind of like time of like mazes and funhouse, smoke and mirrors stuff going on. But beyond that, just a lot of great time for spiritual awakening, great time for understanding the mysteries or even like the simplicities of life and letting that do it for you rather than, having to go so crazy with greed and envy and all of that stuff. Greed and envy very strong right now. But also something that very potent people can bring peace to or overcome as well. Now, Mars-Chiron conjunct. This could be a time of temper or anger in the sign of Aries. So some type of anger or some type of pain, some type of frustration may feel inhibited or blocked. Chiron is an inhibitor and struggles to express. Mars is about, direct, fast expression and action and progress in Aries. So it could feel also that like progress that we've wanted could be slowed here. Maybe we're not quite ready for that next level, or maybe we just feel it for ourselves and we're questioning, why don't I have that next level? Why aren't I further ahead? As I was talking about in some of the previous videos on Patreon as well about that feeling of being behind. That's something that I'm talking about a lot in the June 2024 Sign by Signs. Definitely go and check out a subscription to Patreon to get those when they come out. But we're addressing that a lot and really figuring out like, why are we feeling behind? What does it mean to feel that way? And is that even real? Or is that somewhat of a, sort of mental tangent that we get on about being behind? I would say that we will take that very seriously in June, like the feeling of being behind or any type of stifling, stagnating, as that was also coming as a result of Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. Stifling, stagnating, inhibition, also inferiority complexes as a result of a lot of the exploitative types of ideologies right now. All of that is going to be really, really felt. So, a heavy heart, a heavy conscience, a guilty heart, a guilty conscience, they will be really, really intensified and magnified through these transits in June. Now, we also have a Mercury-Uranus conjunction in the sign of Taurus. Look at all these conjunctions. It's crazy. Okay, so our ideas about our own material security, what we're putting into place, routines, budgets, cycles that we create in order to gain material ground and in order to create the ambience that we want in our life. Now, those things are going to be very focused in June as well. So it could be, I just feel like having a good home environment, understanding how to permanently resolve some of the headaches that you've had or some of the logistical friction in your life. That would be really a positive way to channel that. Purification. I'm feeling so like air purifiers, water purifiers, logistical solutions. What a wonderful way to channel energy in June. Not having certain problems anymore, not having certain expenses anymore. Growing a lot at a mental grounding, mental roots, mental synapses, synaptic healing, synaptic expansion as well. So it's an incredible time to heal brain injuries, okay? Or simply to heal the neurological system, all right? Is there any neurological fatigue going on? This would be a great time to work on that through supplements or through diet or through sleep. Do you have a nice mattress? Do you have at least a good sleep routine? How are the foods that you're eating affecting your neurological system? That's very important to address here too. I've already made a video about Jupiter and Gemini that I'll link below. I won't go too much into it in this video. And finally, yes, starting the month with Sun-Venus conjunct in Gemini, a lightning. Okay, there's a lightning touch. There's less heavy weight. There's a reduced expense. There is an easier way to do a job. There's more leverage. How can you do all of that? How can you make it lighter? And again, yes, if you look at the chart on the right, by the end of the month, Jupiter moves 7 whole degrees, so it's moving very fast through Gemini. And then we have a Sun-Venus conjunction in Cancer, bringing that lighter touch that we were just talking about to the home and making your home lighter, making your home more efficient, making your home more logistical. It's a wonderful, wonderful energy along that line. Could we lean a little bit more into what just is there for us now and not get so caught up in some of these scary stories that never seem to end, and also letting certain stories end, you all? Doesn't that sound nice? With that 29-degree Neptune, maybe it's not quite yet, but maybe it's also soon. Is there something that's being unnecessarily prolonged, some type of sad story, or also some type of ridiculous? In some cases it gets ridiculous when we get to these anoretic degrees of things. There can be oh my god, it's so tiring to still have this complex, or it's so tiring to keep trying to I don't know, explain and explain and explain my story to people. It's just very interesting also with this Gemini influx of energy to think about new stories and to think about who am I really beyond all of this overwhelming diatribe of the soul. Who am I, and who are the people around me, and where am I? And breaking through a glass ceiling, or breaking through some type of just totally overdone narrative is something that I would also feel needs to happen during this time, but may not quite happen yet. But it's something that's trying to come through, and we're definitely in a very long-running ending cycle. But there's a lot of things at a very personal and close level that are working for us and are really lightening us up, really offering us to heal, and really offering a lot of ease of friction. So I would really lean into that this month, first and foremost, and I would just let a process of cleansing happen. I don't know about you guys, but I'm quite tired in some cases of what I see on social media, or some of the things that I just have been attracted to for a long time. It just feels very old to me sometimes recently. Sometimes I feel that I want to just experience a different story, or I am kind of tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. So it's a time where repetition begins to feel tedious to some people, and they need that new story, but maybe it's not starting yet either. So it's that crossing point, or it is that bridge. But anyway, everyone, comment below and let me know how you're doing in June. Did this reading resonate for you? How are you feeling the change of Jupiter and Gemini, and what do you think about all of that Pisces energy? I would love to hear your take on it. Definitely come check out the Patreon page. It's going to be getting even more awesome content as we move into Jupiter and Gemini, as well as YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and thumbs up this video to get it out there. I'm excited to present to you guys some newer and even lighter content as we move into this wonderful lighter-handed energy. Anyway, I hope this resonated for you all, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. I will talk to you soon. Have a great June. Bye.